What is my perfect crime? I break into Tiffany's at midnight. Do I go for the vault? No, I go for the chandelier. It's priceless. As I'm taking it down, a woman catches me. She tells me to stop. It's her father's business. She's Tiffany. I say no. We make love all night. In the morning, the cops come and I escape in one of their uniforms. I tell her to meet me in Mexico, but I go to Canada. I don't trust her. Besides, I like the cold. 30 years later, I get a postcard. I have a son, and he's the chief of police. This is where the story gets interesting. I tell Tiffany to meet me in Paris by the Trocadero. She's been waiting for me all these years. She's never taken another lover. I don't care. I don't show up. I go to Berlin. That's where I stashed the chandelier.
TBTL.
Are you all right?
No, I'm confused. Nothing makes sense to me anymore. This face, it's not my face.
If my consonants sound weird, it's because I have imbibed liquor.
Can you say apple? Apple. Can you say banana?
Hooray for you!
Stay patient, people. Stay patient. This is gonna be worth it, I promise. Maybe not, but it's worth it to me.
All right, hello, good morning, and welcome everyone to a Tuesday edition of TBTL, the show that just might be too beautiful to live.
Oh, and the adventure begins again.
My name's Luke Burbank. I'm your host.
Everything you're about to see is my real voice.
Coming to you from the Madrona Hills studio, perched high above the mighty Columbia.
Oh, Ma, Pa, it's just beautiful.
Had like a truly beautiful moment this morning. Having my coffee, my iced coffee at that. It's my new personality. And there was like a regatta of sailboats, just a bunch of them making their way down the river. And then a float plane came zooming in over them and then landed on the river near where they were. I thought we have almost every mode of transportation being represented here. It was a cool little visual. This is going to be a cool little audio. It's episode 4520 in a collector series.
Let the fun begin.
Deion Sanders, the coach of the University of Colorado Buffaloes and, of course, former star athlete, has announced that he had bladder cancer and is now cancer-free. His press conference, I have to admit, it kind of shocked me.
And when he said that, that shocked me.
Like in a good way. I'm going to play some of the tape and talk about it. Also, here's something shocking. I have a quibble with Jeopardy. I have a Jeopardy hot take that I think is long overdue.
Never let me slip, because if I slip, then I'm slipping.
That might be of interest to our listeners, because I know we have a lot of Jeopardy heads out there. Also, people that have even been on Jeopardy who are listeners to the show. So we'll get into that, time permitting. And we will say hello to this young man as well, longest-running Cobra of the show, maybe best known for his depictions of the top tall ships. Not the middle kind of shelf ships, not the lower-level ships, the top tall ships. Those are the ones that he's known for his depictions of. He's already got his dinner plans figured out for the night.
Hey, cheer up. It's Taco Tuesday.
He's Andrew Walsh, and he's joining me right now. Good morning, my friend.
Good morning, Luke. Do not tell me if I'm right about this. We will find out later. I don't want to spoil the flow of the show, but I think I know or can predict what your Jeopardy hot take is. I'm going to tell you what I think it is now. You will tell me later whether or not I'm right. Your hot take is that you think they should have stuck with Mike Richards as the host.
Can you make your guess in the form of a question? Otherwise, I can't count it.
Is it Mike Richards should have been the host?
It is not that.
Wait, you were supposed to tell me later.
Oh, shoot. I'm sorry.
Oh, shoot.
I'll answer it.
Dang, then
I'm supposed to create a little dramatic tension for the listeners, and I ruined it.
I'm out of guesses. Then. Now you got me. Hook, line, and sinker. Hey, you didn't mention this.
Should we just do this right now?
Sure. If you want to, although there was something on the show sheet that you didn't mention.
We can talk about that later.
Yeah, okay.
We could. You know what? Let's do. The top story segment will revolve around sports stories, but as I like to say, not so much the actual sports themselves, the X's and O's, but the people involved in the sports who are of interest today, I think.
Including something caught my eye that I have no context for at all, but it sounds like it hit you pretty deeply based on some text conversations I was privy to yesterday.
Here's my Jeopardy hot take. I find it annoying when the contestants only say the last name of the Well, okay, the question, right? Whatever.
Sure.
The
Whatever.
question is the answer, and the answer. You know what I mean?
Sure. Yeah.
When they are guessing, when they're answering the question, and they only say the last name. Now, this has been the rule forever on the show. And of course, smart Jeopardy players know that you're better off being general. Why would you include the first name if you don't have to, when the first name could trip you up? I mean, I understand the strategy. I don't really begrudge the players, but I just think it creates a weird, I don't know. I don't like the energy around just saying the last name. Let me play you an example. This was a category recently on Jeopardy, and this is a guy who pretty much just is only using the last name convention.
Stand-up specialists.
Stand-up specialists for $1,200.
This Bupkis star's Netflix specials include Alive from New York and The Best Friends. Scott.
Who's Davidson?
Right.
Stand-up specialists, $1,600.
Famously the voice of a charming rat on film, he was talking for clapping in a 2016 stand-up special.
Who do you think that is, Andrew?
You can't back it up and play it again, can you? It's so hard to get this when I can't see the text. Like
right.
The
Good
answers
point.
are given in such a weird way that I still don't even know what the first one was. I mean, they said Davidson, which makes me think that it was
Pete Davidson.
Pete Davidson, but
it could have been John Davidson, the one-time host of That's Incredible, but it's probably Pete Davidson.
I literally did not understand what that. I mean, it was also just kind of coming in hot, but it was just like, wait, what did you just say? What was the clue there?
It was something about some shows that Pete Davidson has been in. Okay. So the category is about stand-up comics.
Yeah, I got that much. That's literally
they're trying
all I know.
They're trying to get to the answer or get to the the person's name by way of like other things that they've done.
Okay.
So the guy says Davidson, that means Pete Davidson.
I got that. Okay.
This one is talking about somebody who played a cartoon rat and also had a stand-up special at one point that was called Talking for Clapping. Here we go once again.
Famously the voice of a charming rat on film, he was talking for clapping in a 2016 stand-up special.
Oh, he's hilarious, dog. Who is Rick Moranis?
God, that's such a good guess, but it's incorrect, sir.
Dang.
That, of course, is Patton Oswalt.
Oh, Patton Oswalt, right. He played the rat.
Because he was Ratatouille, right?
Sure,
okay,
I forgot about that.
Here's the answer from the guy.
Scott.
Who's Oswalt?
Yes.
Oswalt, yeah.
Stand-up specialists, $2,000.
His stand-up specials include It's Pimpin' Pimpin' and Catpocalypse. Scott.
Who's Williams?
Cat Williams, right.
Cat Williams, famous head bonker.
Pimpin' Pimpin' and Catpocalypse. Who is the Smothers Brothers?
Mom always liked you best.
Stand-up specialists, $800.
Amy Lau on the miniseries Beef.
By the way, here he finally actually gets both names.
Okay.
She stood out on specials Hard Knock Wife and Baby Cobra. Scott.
Who's Ali Wong?
You got it.
I just think you should have to say both names because you're supposed to know the answer to the question. I don't know how it got started. I mean, honestly, I don't know how it ever became the case that you didn't have to give the first name.
It
like
makes
you could
sense,
say
like
Williams.
you said, though, it makes sense. The smart move if you're the contestant, because like if you just have a brain fart, which I can't associate with, but I assume that lesser humans do have that happen to them. Like if you say, I'm trying to think, what would you say? Charles Schultz might be the answer to this person made a bird and a dog famous. Weird.
Sure.
I don't write for Jeopardy. I'm not on trial here.
Actually,
but
I don't think that that's a terrible clue.
yeah, sure. But what, like you, and you actually say like Robert Schultz, like all you've done is, harmed your own chances of winning for no reason.
Sure. So I don't really blame the contestants.
No.
But I blame the rules. I don't understand how it was ever considered okay to not have to have the first name.
Yeah,
because that's part of the answer. Like, think about how general of a last name Williams is.
It's you know what it is? It's the category, I think that. Have you had this thought for a long time? I think it makes sense that this category made it stand out to you because if it was presidents of the United States, you wouldn't think twice about it.
Yeah,
Lincoln, Taft. Exactly.
You know what? You're probably right. I think this category brought this to light for me. But now that the scales have fallen from my eyes, now that I've been Jeopardy pilled, I feel like, I don't understand how when they were making the rules for this game up, when Merv Griffin and his wife were coming up with this game, which is a true story, I think they were on a flight and he was talking to her about his latest game show, and she said, well, you should, you know what it was? This was not too long after the quiz show scandals, I think. And I think his wife said somewhat drolly, well, you should just give him the answers and ask him the questions or whatever, And then he said, oh, okay. And then he started sort of practicing this on the flight, like trying it out, and they enjoyed this very much. But so I don't know if they came up with the original rules or what, but I just don't get how it was ever the case that you didn't need the first name, because I think the first name is part of the answer.
You mentioned that, or I mentioned, I guess, and I think we're in agreement that it stands out. Like politics, you don't notice as much. When you start getting into pop culture, like stand-up comedians, it stands out. I think the funniest category would be cartoon characters. It'd be like, this main character works with his friend at the quarry, who is Flintstone. This pun-loving burger flipper runs his own diner. Who is Belcher?
Who is Burgers?
Who is Burgers? Who is Belcher? I don't know. That would be that would stand out.
Way too much formality. I think what it is it adds weirdly a layer. You're exactly right. With presidents, who, well, generally speaking, we think of it as a very respected high office. Just using the last name only feels totally normal. But the further down you get in terms of who is Entertainment Cheese?
Who is Bunny? Comma Bugs.
Yes. So anyway, just I may drop that in Ken Jen's ear later. He's on a media blitz, by the way.
Can't go. He's got that new book out. It's a smart book tour too. He's turning them into trivia nights, right? He's not just doing your usual book readings, isn't he? Going around doing trivia nights.
Yeah, and I think he played the puzzle with Aisha Roscoe and Will Shortz.
Oh, that's great.
On Sunday morning, which is actually quite fitting because I think it's a book of puzzles.
That's great. Something. Yeah, I think it has a quiz element to it. That's pretty good. But I don't think he makes the rules, right? And also, is he still on like probationary status there? How long has he been doing it now?
No, he's off of probationary status.
Really? He's not on a PIP?
No. I mean, honestly, his P has IP'd.
Yeah,
I think he's very good at the job. Like it's working. In the words of Coolio. There was that moment, and it was well documented on this show, where it was kind of like, well, it was the other guy. It was Mike Richards. Mm-hmm. And then it was...
Richards. And then it was Richards.
Who is Richards? Who is Bialik?
Who is Bialik? Exactly.
Who is, in my opinionation, the sun is going to surely shine. I believe that's the Blossom theme song. Is that sung by Leon Redbone, or is that just... have I Mandela'd
the Blossom
Leon
theme song?
Because he of course does the Mr. Belvedere, right?
Yes, exactly. Which I would be surprised if the Blossom theme.
Is it maybe Dr. John?
Let me see. Blossom opening. In my opinionation, that's right. I couldn't even get this in my head, but yeah, all I had to see was in my opinionation. It's like, yeah, that's the song. Let's see here. The song's name has no official title. Many fans just call it "In My Opinionation." But they're not saying.
I'm waiting for some sort of an eyeglasses commercial to finish up here on YouTube before I can play this for you.
Oh, okay.
Will this get us pulled down in certain parts of Eastern Europe? Do you know what the rules are on theme songs for us?
Oh, here we go.
Don't know about the future. That's anybody's guess. Ain't no good reason for getting all depressed.
That might be Dr. John.
I think you are right about that. I'm looking this up now, but I am quite sure. Yes.
Give you a piece of my mind. In my
opinionation, the sun is gonna surely shine.
Oh, that's right. Dr. John's white. I always forget that. I just looked up because I don't know anything
about Dr. John.
I don't know.
Enter the discourse.
I don't know. I'm not a Dr. John head or anything, and so every 5 to 10 years I look it up. I'm like, oh yeah, that guy's white.
Yeah, there he is. Yeah. But it's just amazing how big of a deal TV theme songs used to be, and I feel like they've gotten less so. Although I don't know, the Sopranos. That was very iconic. Maybe that's not TV, that's HBO. But, there's a whole second verse to this thing.
Yeah.
Stop all your fussing. Slap on a smile. Come out and walk in the sun for a while.
Don't try to find it.
You know you want to have a good time. And in my opinionation, the sun is going to surely shine.
Well,
I mean, that kind of slaps. That's right up there with the Mountain Dew song.
I was going to say, it's no Mountain Dew radio jingle. That's for damn sure. No, I'm with you on that. Although I feel like, and I'm just exploring something here. I'm not arguing.
Sure.
So let's all just stay cool. It's hot outside. I feel like we definitely went through, like you mentioned The Sopranos, but The Sopranos is really old now. Like that's one thing that you and I have to remember. Like that's an oldie.
You're totally right.
Like that's late 90s.
My evidence to the contrary is very dated in and of itself.
But then we definitely went to the period where people were like, why are we sitting through this intro, right? And they got super short, right? A cold open, then a very quick intro. But I do feel like shows like The White Lotus, I might even throw Severance in there, but The White Lotus especially because of the song, but then the really intriguing imagery. I feel like at least for kind of premiere television or whatever you call that, whatever people call that layer of like prestige cinematic television, I feel like there has been more of an embracing of like, we're also putting clues, especially now I'm hung up on Severance, but we're putting kind of clues as to what's coming up in the show in these intro packages, so people are examining them. And I think they've instead kind of found ways to get people to watch them.
Yeah, I guess the closest, the analog would be a sitcom in this day and age. Like, what does the intro of a sitcom look like versus the intro of, like, Blossom? But then, Andrew, what I had to try to remember was, are there sitcoms anymore?
Well, I think of Abbott Elementary right away. That exists, right?
Okay.
Right?
It does exist.
And I wonder, I don't know, I haven't seen enough of that show to know what the intro is like, but I'll bet you you're right. I'll bet you it's pretty compact.
Are there any... I mean, I guess I'll know the answer to this when football season starts again.
Yeah,
because that's when I log back into the like network television kind of frequency.
Find out what American dads are watching.
Exactly.
Yeah.
I mean but like, I'm just thinking it's been a long time since and even Abbott Elementary. I don't think of that as a sitcom.
Oh, really?
Well, I think of it. Okay, when I say
a lot of it.
When I say, I think I've watched a couple of. I really enjoyed it, by the way.
Yeah, me too.
But like, I think it's more like The Office, isn't it? Like it's like a quasi or like Community. Do you think of Community as a sitcom?
Yes, and The Office. I consider both of those to be situational comedies.
Ooh, that's edgy.
Really?
Well, I mean,
it's a situational comedy, right? Like, what is it's like a half hour, like short form weekly comedy.
I guess when I say sitcom, I'm thinking the kind of like more traditional, that sort of multi-camera shoot. It's mostly happening in the living room of the family that's experiencing the situations that are comedic. I don't know if I'm right about this, by the way, but I'm just saying in my mind, when I think of when I say sitcom, I think Archie Bunker. I think one of those things, as opposed to a single camera shoot where you're following people around or they're spiking the camera like in The Office, which is sort of quasi-documentary.
I just was curious, not that the Wikipedia is the end-all, be-all, but I was curious what they call it, and they do call it a mockumentary sitcom. So that's kind of, that's right.
Sure.
But I would also, because I would say that Parks and Rec is in that category too, and there's I would definitely call that a sitcom. Oh, Abbott Elementary, also a mockumentary sitcom. So I guess I guess all the sitcoms that you and I like enough to consider for this conversation.
Right, exactly.
Like, what are the Sheldons doing these days? Like, is there a medium Sheldon? I think you told me there's going to be a medium Sheldon or something.
I think I did an old Sheldon and a young Sheldon.
Right.
And boil some water.
Yes.
I mean, those are the ones that I can kind of call to mind that I'm pretty sure exist. There's a spin-off from that show now that's like the somebody else in the kind of Sheldon universe and kind of what happens to their life, like George and Abby or something. And I think there's another one in development too that I saw a little mention of from one of the Big Bang Theory guys that's going to have their own show on CBS. But like a sitcom where it's like a Tim Allen type of dad has his family that he doesn't exactly understand what it is that's driving his children's behaviors, and he and his wife kind of are, or like a King of Queens type of situation. Like, are they making those kinds of shows anymore? Do those shows exist where like most of it is in the living room of the house where the family lives, and if it gets popular enough, when one of the kids comes down the stairs, the audience applauds because they now like that character? Like, is that happening on network television anymore? I don't know the answer.
This is already probably pretty old, but I remember getting a glimpse into that world watching football several seasons ago, and you cleaned this up for me the last time I tried to describe it, but it was a long time ago. It's like it's either called I think it's called The Neighborhood, and it's about two neighbors and they're two dad types, and that seemed like the type of show.
That's got like Cedric the Entertainer.
Yeah, is that what I'm thinking of?
And
yeah.
a guy from like New Girl.
Is it called The Neighborhood? Did I actually get that right?
I think it might be called The Neighborhood. That one feels very much like a throwback. Like, that's exactly what I'm talking about.
Oh, and that's from 2018, so that's not even
7
all that
years ago.
current either.
Is it still on?
That's what I'm looking at here. I'm looking for the is or was on Wikipedia. Is or was. That would be such a good quiz. Is or was.
Oh,
and you look things up on Wikipedia, and the person has to guess if it's is or was. The Neighborhood is an American television sitcom created by Jim Reynolds, but Jim Reynolds is not clickable here. So this is it's created by somebody that doesn't have enough of a presence on Wikipedia to have their own page. That surprises me. There's another CBS joint, Luke.
Oh yeah, sure. My beloved network.
Yes, exactly.
Fox News doesn't seem to do any of this kind of stuff. Or did I say Fox News? I mean
News.
the Fox.
Yeah, no, they
Fox
do their
News
own form of comedy.
They are creating comedy.
Yeah, it's dark.
Not intentionally.
It's very
like
dark.
The Fox network, because again, for me, it just toggles pretty much between two things. CBS, if that's where the Seahawks are, or Fox, if that's where the Seahawks are. And it seems like all the Fox programming is like, it's like first responders doing something.
Yeah.
That's all of their shows
Blue
are like.
Bloods, too.
It's a lot. I think that's CBS.
You're saying Fox. Right. Sorry. Yeah. I just thought this genre. Yeah.
Fox, I feel like Fox doesn't do any comedies with live humans. They just do animated. They're animation domination. All of their attempts at comedy are pretty much animated, which is kind of interesting to think about. And then over on the CBS side, I don't know. It's mostly Sheldon related, it would seem.
Does Fox not make any sitcoms, or do we just not know about it? I'm looking this up. Okay, Modern Family is not a modern reference, right?
No, that's a was.
I'll take that's a was for 200, Andrew. I guess they are not big in that, but I guess that genre is just sort of maybe kind of dying out. I can't. This is my struggle here. Is it dying out, or do you and I just not?
They've got to
play in these spaces, you know?
I think it is both.
It is both.
In the words of that one guy.
It is both.
Well, first of all, Seattle native Joel McHale, he's got a show on there called Animal Control, and that's an Andrew. That is an American television sitcom.
Somebody told me, and I think I'm remembering who it is, but I should give few details to protect their anonymity. But there was somebody who works in media who I think was booking Joel or something for like an interview. And I think he got the news. I think the news broke that sitcom, that he landed that sitcom, Animal Control, or that it got the green light or something. That news broke during the interview. And then afterwards, this person I know, I think, said to him, "Hey, Animal Control got greenlit. That's great news." And his response allegedly was, "Is it?"
Props.
Yeah, exactly.
Props.
I think that person might listen to this show, so I hope I
We
did
love
not
the honesty.
tell any tales out of school.
Yeah, I'm trying to figure out. Let's see if it's still it's listed as an is. So I'm going to say that it's still happening. And again, we will find out this fall, Andrew, when our eyes turn, when a nation turns its lonely eyes to the major networks to watch football, and then also find out what they're doing when it's not football time. So
I am, and this is seriously not a conversation about baseball or what's going on in the baseball landscape. I'm saving that for the next quarter hour.
Sweep it, baby.
I have found myself like more than naturally anxious about the end of the baseball season. And I don't mean I'm anxious about the Mariners not making the playoffs or not winning the World Series. I think I said this on the show recently. It occurred to me the other day. I'm like, I've never expected that I'll see the Mariners win the World Series. There's something about my fandom that I've never seen, with the exception of the Seahawks. I've never seen my team reach, the whatever the ultimate goal of their sport is. And it's like, I can't imagine the Mariners winning the World Series. That's not why I watch baseball, though. And I always talk about how I love baseball, how it sort of sets a rhythm to the summer, and how during the All-Star break you find yourself a little bit lost. But I think because of everything else that's going on in the world, and the world being such an incredibly kind of scary and upsetting place right now, I realize I'm clinging to it more than I think I have in the past. And maybe not in ways that are obvious, like it's just fandom. It's the same conversations I'm having with friends and text chains and following it on Blue Sky. I always do that. But a couple of times recently, I've had this thought of I know football's fun, but it's not as much a part of my life, especially these days now that my Sundays are kind of taken up. And there's going to be this moment where I'm listening to the last Mariners game. I hope it's in October. But I'm going to be listening to the last game. And then I don't know, what is the line? I think you just quoted it or maybe came close to quoting it. A nation turns its lonely eyes to you. Where do I turn my lonely eyes when baseball season ends? Because it's a day from fantasy baseball that I'm playing. It's just this constant low-level good distraction for me.
Yes.
And when that goes away, I'm going to have to start thinking again.
No. I wouldn't recommend that.
No, I got to find a podcast or something.
My feeling that I've been having about not so much the end of the baseball season, but the beginning of the football times, because, we're starting to see, in the Seattle Times, starting to write up the fact, the various Seahawks and what they're doing, and what folks are looking like in preseason, starting to think about things like Hard Knocks. And then I get very sad because I don't want the summer to be over. We've talked about this before. I'm a big summer guy. It also represents generally for me a little bit of a less hectic work life, which I really kind of crave in a way. Not so much that I make different decisions ever so as to ensure that happening, but I really, really do enjoy the summertime and enjoy the pace of life slowing down a bit. And the fall actually kind of stresses me out because Livewire ramps back up. There's a lot of CBS travel, et cetera. But I also love football so much. Again, with all of the asterisks and caveats and the things about football that are obviously bad. I just there's something about for me, a Sunday when the Seahawks are going to play and maybe I'm making up a big pot of veggie chili and stuff. And that's such a good feeling for me that I both want it to be that time of year, but I also feel kind of wistful if I think about it being that time of year because it means it's no longer this time of year. I would like to just drop a few fall Sundays right into the middle of the summer. Can we just drop the temp by about 40 degrees, brown those leaves up, put them down on the ground, have an unexpectedly hot start for my Seahawks. The Sam Darnold experiment is working. And I've got a big pot of chili going. The house smells great, and it's a Sunday, and just everything in the world is aligned for me. But then the next day is July 7th.
Yeah, right. And then it's just
we're back to it's 85 degrees, and we're in the middle of summer. Why can't that be my life, Andrew?
It just occurred to me we didn't address something on the show today that we need to address, and this is not football or baseball or anything sport related. It's a total change in the conversation. I'll tell you the reason I'm interjecting it now is because you said something about Sam Darnold, and I started to think, is there a pun there that we could name the show after today? But then instead of pursuing that thought, I realized what happened with yesterday's show title. Did you understand what was going on when Phyllis texted us yesterday?
Minimally.
We got a text message.
I'm going to the show title right now.
Okay.
Okay.
Yesterday we talked about Todds a lot. We started with some Todd Glass tape, and then what was the other Todd? I can't remember, but we talked about Todds, and we said something else that was a good show title, but then after the show I'm like, and you don't believe in a Todd would be a funny show title. It builds on an ongoing joke on this show until Phyllis. But I even Googled it. I'm like, did we use this before? So I typed in TBTL and then in quotes, and you don't believe in a Todd. Nothing came up. So I was like, okay, we're good. And then after the show was posted for a couple of hours, we got a text from our friend Phyllis Fletcher, who took a screen cap of an episode like 1,000 ago? Was it less than 1,000 ago that we had already used that title?
Really?
I don't think this has happened. Phyllis, I know it's always fun when this happens. This is the first time that I remember this happening, or at least being conscious of it happening. And I kind of don't know what to do. Do we just have two? I mean, it's bound to happen. We've done, this is our 4,520th.
Yeah. There are only so many words in the English language.
Exactly. It's just going to be blurs eventually. But I don't know. I'm not comfortable with this knowledge. I was fine when I didn't have the knowledge. It's like the Garden of Eden all over again, right? I ate from the apple.
Right.
I ate the apple from the truth tree or whatever. I didn't.
The tree of life, right? The forbidden fruit.
The forbidden fruit. I thought there was something about the tree of knowledge, though. I thought it was like
I think it's tree of knowledge. I think
tree
you're
of
right.
knowledge. There, I got there. So anyway, I don't know.
Clearly, we haven't eaten any of that fruit
no,
in a long time.
No, we haven't. We've eaten the apples that are starting to ferment a little bit,
Yeah,
and we're
the
like
fallen fruit.
Yeah, we're like those animals that get drunk on the
Yes.
ripening fruit. So what do we do now that you have eaten from the tree of knowledge?
And
as
is
well?
that's the only example that we know of?
That
where
I know of.
It's completely been a duplicate. I think, you know what, Andrew?
You just let it go?
I've been really, you'll be shocked to hear that I've been really leaning into some kind of, I don't know, radical acceptance and trying to manage my anxiety through aphorisms, as I want to do. And a couple of them that have been clanking around in my head. One is, and I'm paraphrasing here, but it's something to the effect of, nobody has ever added a second to their life by worrying. You know, like I'm trying to remember that when I start to be consumed by worry, that's not extending my life. That's not adding to it. That's just my big fat brain looking for big fat problems to chew on. Another one that I saw recently that I thought was kind of interesting was somebody was saying basically we should be working on trying to remember that our current reality is actually beyond our wildest dreams. Meaning, even though things are not great, certainly things are not great, nationally, internationally, there's a lot of really bad stuff going on. It's important for me to remember that in certain ways, my current reality is still beyond my wildest dreams. And the more that I work on remembering that for myself, the more gratitude I can have and maybe the less consumed by worry and sadness I will be. Because there are just so many things about my life that I'm just so incredibly lucky and grateful for. My daughter is healthy and an awesome person. I have, you know, great girlfriend who loves me. I have this job with you, you know, so I'm trying to remind myself of that. But back to the worrying thing.
Yeah.
I just think we should just bro, you got to keep living, man. LIVIN. Let's just let it roll.
He's pulling out some bongos. Well, he's taking off his shirt.
Hold on, let me
and he's pulling out some bongos.
This shirt has really been chafing.
Yeah, that's really interesting. Hey, I am going to tell you a story that you already know, so I'm just going to tell it for the sake of the listeners.
Sure.
And it's relevant to what we're talking about here. Lovely, lovely time at the picnic last Friday. We didn't talk about it that much. You gave a quick shout out to it yesterday, and it's kind of funny. I think that it, in some ways, like that, we just got back from Wisconsin, but it felt like such a different world that yesterday I think I had trouble sort of recapping or kind of maybe even processing the week. And so we didn't talk, or I didn't talk too much about what a great time we had at the picnic and friendship.
Yeah.
On Friday to wrap up the TBTL-a-thon. How many people would you say came out? About 50, maybe?
Probably about 50.
Yeah, probably about 50. And wonderful people.
It was fun, though, because there was a lot of cars parked there, and people were commenting on it. Like people that worked at the park, they were like, somebody came up to me and said, "Is there somebody here from Missouri?"
Oh,
because we had some folks, I think, that came in from the Kansas City area.
Plate. Yeah,
yeah.
I
so
thought
it was
you
like
meant
we were
there was a draw. Like all these cars, somebody from Missouri must be here, drawing all these people in.
It made us look like, it made me feel like last week really was a series of events that made me feel like, hey, this is a real thing.
Yeah,
you know, stuff like people driving from Missouri to come be a part of the picnic.
So we're there. We're setting up. God bless John Sklaroff for taking over grilling responsibilities there. Like
yeoman's
seriously,
work.
Hard work. He's good at it, but it's also like the smoke is chasing him around the grill. I see it's hot as hell as it's humid and he's grilling and he did a really, really great job.
Yes.
His hands were obviously very full, and at one point he said, "Hey, we're running low on charcoal. Could you go grab some?" I'm like, "Yeah." It was pretty early on too, and I'm like, "Should I get?" I assumed I was going to be driving somewhere. He's like, "Well, there is a little store at the little there's a little building, small little building that you have to pass through when you come into the park, and it's got one of those slidey windows, and they greet you. In our case, they gave us the key that we needed for the pavilion or whatever." And he said, there's a little store in that building. They might have some charcoal there. So I'm like, yeah, I'll go. And, it was right nearby. So just walk over there, and I kind of sheepishly go in, and I see not only the young woman there who had handed us the key through the window, but there's probably I was kind of surprised. It was like I felt like I had a bit of an audience. There were 4 or 5 mostly young people wearing these green uniforms. So they were like, I don't know if you would call them rangers or whatever, but they worked for the
Yeah, it was
park.
unclear to me. Is that a county operation?
I don't know.
Is that a privately run park? I never quite understood what was going on there, but they did. It was well staffed.
But do you ever have that sort of kind of weird performance anxiety? I can pause here if you want to make a sex joke or just move on. Okay. Do you ever have that weird performance anxiety where you're talking to like one person at the cash register, but you kind of realize all of their colleagues are sort of hanging around and you're like kind of talking to all of them at once and you don't know where to sort of shift your attention? I don't know how much of this is a personal Andrew anxiety or what. But anyway, so I'm like, hey, do you guys have charcoal? And the young woman who helped us through the window turns around and says, oh, yeah, there's some over there. And the bags are kind of small. And I was like, I'm quite sure we only need 2 of these bags, but they had a total of 3 bags. And I'm like, I don't want to buy 2 bags and then run out and then us have meat that is uncooked, but then come back here later for the 3rd bag and some other camper bought it, right? And I said to them, I said to kind of all of the people, I'm like, you have 3 bags here. Do you have more in the back or is this all you have? And they're like, this is all we have. I'm like, okay, so I'm trying to do this math. Like, do I get all 3 or not? And I'm also kind of in a hurry. I'm not trying to abdicate my responsibilities back at the picnic. And so I'm like, I'll just grab all 3. So I put all 3 on the counter, and they're kind of ringing it up for me. I thought it was going to be like $5 a bag, and they're like, it's $13. I don't know why. Do I think it's the 1950s? Why did I think it was going to be $5 a bag? So I'm a little flustered at sort of, I don't even know why I offered a guess as to what it was going to be called. I'm playing Price is Right with these people for some reason. And then I'm just sort of like a little bit flustered, and I'm like, and I say out loud, mostly to the woman who's like kind of, at working the cash register, but kind of to everybody. I said, I just feel bad. I'm buying all 3 of these, and I don't know if I need the 3rd one, and somebody else is going to come in here, and you guys aren't going to have any charcoal for them. And a voice, somebody I was not talking to, I can't explain this to you, a very strong voice who, when I looked, was coming from a very casual, very handsome young man with a beard, sitting kind of leaning back in his chair, looking at me, he just says, it's going to be okay. And I look, I said, what? He said, it's going to be okay. And I just said, I was astounded. It was like, to me in that moment, it felt like a scene from a movie. I was just like, can you just follow me around and say that to me all the time? And they did kind of laugh at that, which I was glad of. And then we just sort of moved on. But it was really, didn't you used to have like some sort of piece of like embroidery, but in like kind of cool, like kind of splashy colors that said that?
Yeah, I had a print that said everything is going to be okay. Made by a listener, by the way.
Oh, really? I didn't know that.
Yeah.
It was like blue. It was red on blue.
Yeah, it was a red
something.
frame, and I think I think it used to be up in the TBTL studio. Yeah, for that exact reason. Just reminding myself that everything was going to be okay.
This felt like a voice. This felt like an otherworldly voice. There was something about it because I wasn't really paying attention to him. I was talking to the woman who was like, kind of taking my credit card or whatever, and it's going to be okay. And it just, and I don't know, just coming from this,
when you're
like,
saying
kind of,
it that way,
yes,
it sounds like, because we talked about this before, and I had it as this idea that it was like a very calming, like, hey man, it's going to be okay. But it sounds, the way you're saying it now, it was almost a little bit more like, I don't think stern is the word, but like, what was the energy behind it?
It was
it's
like
going
definitive.
To be okay?
It was like definitive, and it was confident. It was like a strong and it wasn't like, hey buddy, it's going to be okay. It was just like, it's going to be okay. Like it was almost like, you don't have to be doing this, buddy. You don't, and it was just a little edge of the sternness, but he wasn't stern. He was being polite and kind, and again, I think I just saw a man that contained all of the elements of life that I don't have: confidence, charm, looks, a job at the park. I don't know. There was just something about it that this guy was like the opposite of me in like every way. But like he just sort of like, he was just offering this moment of like, sort of stern affirmation almost. Although stern is too strong of a word, but definitely it was like, and the reason he sort of yelled it was because he's not near me. He's sitting in the back of this area. It was set up sort of strange. So like he wasn't part of my conversation. It sort of like came from afar.
but he could sort of tell that you were kind of spinning out a little bit.
Yeah, and I wasn't even spitting out that much. I just was saying, I kind of feel bad buying this third bag. I don't know if I need this. I feel bad for the other campers who are going to come in here. I don't like doing that. I think about that all the time when I'm buying this special food for Professor Bananas, our cat, who's quite sick now, and she can only eat this certain kind of food, like it's a very soft texture-y kind of food, and she only likes certain flavors. She doesn't really like fish flavored stuff, and so like the stuff she likes the best is just plain chicken flavored. Boy, she really is my cat. And and they have all kinds.
Does this have mayo in it?
Yeah, exactly. They have all kinds of like weird, wacky, different combinations of fish and this or whatever. But I'm like, if I can just get the straight chicken, that's good. But what I end up doing is I go to and it's not like a boutique pet store. I go to like, I don't know, PetSmart or whatever it's called up there on Aurora. And I usually like clean them out of whatever they have on the shelf. And I always feel bad about it. Or I'll do this thing where I'll like, I want them all, but I'll leave like 3 behind because I'm like, somebody else is going to come in here and they're not going to have any. And it's like, well, my cat's dying of cancer. Like, she deserves this. You know what I mean? Like, why do I feel the need as the consumer to leave some behind? But I'm also, they had a different style stuff that we were feeding her that she loved. And then suddenly the store stopped stocking it, like out of the blue. And I asked them about it. Like, yeah, we're not stocking that anymore. So now I'm also always living on the edge of this, like, bananas can eat fewer and fewer things. And so like I feel a little bit hoardy about it, but I also still have this conscientious, like, sort of voice in my head saying like, well, don't take them all, or, don't screw the next person in line. But also I'm hoping that they see that this is a popular item. And so they keep buying it and stocking it.
That is really thoughtful of you. I have never in my life made that consideration of, am I buying the last of this? Oh, and then does that mean someone else? I mean, I wish I was more wired that way to some degree because, I have the exact opposite thing, as we know, as has been well documented. It's like, if there's a thing that I like, I'm like, well, let me just have multiples of that. Or if I'll buy the entire stock of whatever this is this tomato sauce is relatively low carb and whatever that's 2 for 1. Okay, I'll get 6 jars of it. Does that mean there's any left on the shelf for anyone else? No, but I just figure the store will get some more of it or something.
Yeah, I think because it's a regular occurrence with me, I can't explain it. It's like, it's not like, if I were in, at that, what was that little country store, the grocery store that we were going to, wasn't it called like the country store or something in Friendship, wherever we were grocery shopping. Yeah. I would have if they only had one thing of hummus left and I grabbed it, I didn't think about that. I just wish they had more hummus. Yeah, I know. God, you know what? I have to go to confession. It's not, or even if I needed all the hummus, it's like, well, or if we're throwing this big picnic in Friendship where we don't live and we just clean them out of all of their plastic cutlery, I'm kind of like, well, they can deal with that. But I think there's something especially about, going into this particular pet store because I'm there once or twice a week, and I just keep grabbing like a dozen of these like envelopes of food because they're not like I don't think about it when they're cans of food. They move those things by the pallet, right? But these are sort of specialty foods, and I'm just like grabbing the whole thing and basically turning it upside down into my basket, and then like making them ring them up all individually, and then I shove them in my
running
pants.
Out of the store.
I shove them in my pants, and sometimes they break. Sometimes the envelopes pop as I'm running out of the store, and it looks like I've had an accident. It's a whole thing. Anyway, but I'm just like, I got to show my face here again. I'm hoping that I'm not. There's this weird feeling of like not screwing myself in the future as well. Like, I don't know. It's not rational, but I think because I'm a regular there, I have these weird feelings about it. And so far, Luke, nobody at Petco has either. Either wagged their finger at me nor told me it's going to be okay.
Yeah, that would be nice if you could get that guy to follow you around. Maybe just get a recording of it. Maybe if we're back in Friendship, we'll just get him to say that, and then you can make it your ringtone.
Yes. Every time you call me, it just says, I'll just go down to Friendship and be like, has anybody seen a handsome ranger? Has anybody seen just stop every stranger on the street.
Sure.
Hello and welcome to Top Story.
Let's talk about Ryne Sandberg, Spokane, Washington native, and personal baseball hero of mine growing up, who very sadly passed away of cancer. He was 65 years old. He was a Hall of Famer for the Chicago Cubs. I was obsessed with this guy growing up because I knew he was from Spokane and he played second base, which was the position I played, because my arm wasn't really strong enough. In little league, I was on like third base and shortstop. But then as we started playing on a bigger and bigger field, and there was kids with a stronger arm than me, I got migrated over to second base because you didn't have to throw it as far to first. And I had a Ryne Sandberg mitt that I got from, like Big Five or something. So like this guy was extremely on my radar. Like he was also just like a very kind of classically handsome guy. And, he just was sort of like in the football world, it was Steve Largent, the Seahawks wide receiver. And in baseball, it was this guy, Ryne Sandberg. And I mean, the fact he was only 65, which is not old. And the fact that, again, he loomed very large in my mind as a baseball kid. And it was a sad thing to see that he passed away.
This name didn't mean much to me. I saw the headline that somebody had passed away and that he was a native. And then I think it's okay to say this. You were you texted, I think. I don't know if you texted me and Chris, I think, about this. And you guys both had a quick moment that I found very touching of just like how much this player meant to you. And I was surprised by it because I still didn't know the background. I'm like, why did this player mean something to both Luke and Chris? Because, I thought this player was a Mariner or something because I figured you followed the Mariners. And also watching sports wasn't quite as global of an experience. I mean, obviously there were the star players in baseball and you didn't have to only follow the players in your own city, but this was not a name. And again, it's been well documented. I did not grow up watching baseball. I'm sort of like kind of learning about it and trying to learn about the history as an adult, but this isn't one of the names from the 80s or 90s that I remember hearing about much, but famous enough that he was a non-Mariner that was your hero and also his own line of gloves.
Yeah, I mean, part of the whole story on him was that he was famously a very sort of low-key and humble guy. Like I was watching his Hall of Fame induction speech, and he said, now granted, this is a little bit, it's sort of a thing that gets said a lot, so it wasn't the most original thought, but he said, basically when he would hit a home run, he would just kind of put his head down and round the bases because he said the name on the front of the jersey is more important than the name on the back of the jersey. That was sort of his whole thing, and so he was well known for being a very low-key guy and not a person who was particularly flashy or asking for attention, and was just sort of quietly building up these pretty incredible career stats, but was really a team-first guy, and there wasn't anybody who had anything bad to say about this guy who had ever played on a team with him. But that would also explain why, you haven't heard maybe about him the way that you might have heard of some other guys from that era. I was very obsessed with if there was somebody who was in either Major League Baseball, the NBA, or pro football who was from the state of Washington. I would figure that out, and then I would follow them pretty obsessively because it increased the chances in my mind that I could become a pro athlete. Because I was from Washington State.
The way you look at players now and you clock their age and you're just like, well,
yes,
this person
time is running out for me.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure 48, 49 or whatever it is. I think we're out of it. But
unless you're Jamie Moyer, probably. But I was like, if Ryne Sandberg, who plays second base, which I also do, and Ryne Sandberg is from Spokane, Washington, a place that I have been to. Well, then this lines up pretty nicely for me becoming a major league second baseman.
Yeah, it's a self-fulfilling prophecy.
Yeah, the comedy speaks for itself. The comedy of me thinking that speaks for itself.
Absolutely.
And so, the Mariners at that time, well, I guess Harold Reynolds would have been our second baseman. And I did think Harold Reynolds was really cool. But and maybe some of it was because I was a white kid and Ryne Sandberg was a white guy, so the analog seemed closer to me. Like I could grow up to be that person,
like Dr. John.
Well, exactly. So my musical hero was Dr. John. My baseball hero was Ryne Sandberg. And my basketball hero was Jack Sikma.
I assume another white. I don't know who that is.
A tall white who played for the Sonics. Yes. Not just my order at Starbucks, but how I orient my basketball fandom.
Yes, sure.
But I just really looked up to the guy, and I don't know how closely, because again, this is before the internet. So like me saying that I followed Ryne Sandberg probably just meant, I don't know, I saw his name in the box score in the Seattle Times. There was no ESPN that we think of it now. There was no internet. Like I don't know how I was even following the news of this guy, but I had his mitt, and somehow I knew he was really good.
That's interesting because that's what I wanted to hear because I was like, maybe you watched, was Sunday Night Baseball more of a thing for you? Because I even get a feeling about Sunday Night Baseball now because it's like always the last game of the week, and maybe playing fantasy baseball puts extra import on that. But like we live in an age where I have an app and I can watch, with the exception of the Mariners because they're blacked out in their own city, I have an app that will show me literally any baseball game.
You don't have the Grifter Sports app? That's what they're showing tonight's game on.
Yeah, right. Grifter with no E, just T.
Yep.
But so like I have the ability to, for the most part, until they shift things around or whatever, but like for the most part, the idea is I can pretty much watch any baseball game at any time during the week, and there's so many games to watch. But you get to a point at the very, very end of the week. I know Sunday technically is the beginning of the next week, but we're not getting into that argument. I don't know if we should argue that at some point. Save it for another day. But you're at the very, very end of the baseball week, and the baseball world is all quiet except for one game that is being played. And I can just turn on the radio and listen to that because it's on ESPN and it's on all the... Did you have that sort of moment with Sunday Night Baseball growing up?
I don't think Sunday Night Baseball was a thing when I was a little kid.
Oh.
I think it came along maybe in my teenage years or maybe late teens. I remember I think it was Johnny Miller and Joe Morgan were the announcers for it. Johnny Miller, who I think his day job was with the San Francisco Giants. I hope he's still working. I love that guy's call. But I don't remember that. It certainly wasn't the way that now like Sunday Night Football is a thing.
Yeah.
And that's also weird. Like, I hope this isn't getting too sporty, but my relationship with baseball is kind of, it's different than my relationship with football in that I will, if I am home and I'm not doing anything, I will absolutely watch Sunday Night Football regardless of who the teams are.
Oh, yeah.
And I have almost no interest in watching a baseball game that doesn't involve the Seattle Mariners. I don't do the fantasy stuff, so maybe that's part of it. I just don't have thoughts about baseball teams, unless maybe it's like the Astros are playing someone and I want them to lose for the Mariners' sake, so then it feels like it's connected to the Mariners for me.
Yeah. And I think
just
that
don't
is
have
how
it
you
in-
sort of, I think that's probably how, because I kind of really enjoy it now, but I think that's maybe where things started to slip in for me a little bit. It's like, well, why would I watch a Rangers-Angels game? Well, it has implications for the Mariners. Then
It's
you start
always the
watching. It's
implication.
always the implication. Yeah.
Yeah, speaking of sports, did you see any of the clips from Deion Sanders' press conference talking about his health stuff?
No, I'm very interested in this. I had heard just like a news headline on the radio station I was listening to saying that he held this press conference and he's in the clear now as far as health is concerned. Do I have that right?
That's what he and his doctors are saying. So it was him. It was, I believe, his cancer doctor who treated him, and then it was somebody associated with the University of Colorado who had, I think, maybe she's the one of the head sports information people, but it sounds like she was also very involved in his care and helping him, like even in sort of his private life, like when he's been recovering from this. So the doctors found a tumor on his bladder, and the recommendation for the best course of care was to remove not only the tumor but his entire bladder. And he's been recovering from that. And what I found, now the backstory on Deion Sanders, for people that don't know, his nickname, he played both pro football and baseball. He was really good at both of them. His nickname was Prime Time. I think he's still the only person who's ever won a Super Bowl and a World Series.
Oh, really?
Yeah, I think so. He had some really interesting stats. There was a day that he played a football game, I think, for the Atlanta Falcons in the morning, and then flew to, I want to say it was wherever the Yankees were playing. I think he might have been a Yankee at the time, so that he could be on the active roster. He didn't end up getting in that baseball game that night, but it was the first time in American history, somebody had played pro football and pro baseball on the same day.
God.
And his nickname was Prime Time. He was seen as a pretty flashy player. He was incredibly athletically talented, and he was a cornerback. He was a defensive back, so he would make these interceptions. Then he'd have these incredible returns, and he'd kind of high step at the end. Or he was also a punt returner, a kick returner. He had lots of touchdowns that way. Just a guy who was seen as very flashy, and then he ends up as the head coach at the University of Colorado. And I will be totally honest, I just kind of have always perceived him to be somebody who's a little bit on my last nerve.
Yes.
Like I felt like he was part of a sort of new wave of college football where, again, there's so much. I think college athletes should absolutely be paid. I think it's ridiculous if they weren't being paid above the table But regardless, there was something about Deion Sanders, kind of the way that he was sort of kicking people out of press conferences. There was something that felt almost Trumpy about him to me.
Oh, absolutely.
Like,
I can't remember who the reporter was that was the person who learned this the hard way, but like he would not respond to any reporters or interact with anybody who did not call him Coach Prime. He insisted. Not only did he have this nickname, he insisted, like, you could not say Coach Sanders, you could not say Deion. You had to call him Coach Prime. And if I were a journalist, I'd chafe at that. Somebody forcing you to call them or address them in some sort of honorific that isn't a real honorific. Like that to me summarizes how I felt about him, and also like sort of just saying like, yeah, I'm going to buy a bunch of players essentially and bring them here.
And bring his son Shedeur Sanders there, who, is a obviously super talented player, but was kind of part of this whole, like situation where he didn't get drafted as soon as some people thought he would, and it became kind of this sort of embarrassment, which at the time I remember thinking that's kind of delicious. It's kind of like this, like basically Deion Sanders sort of struck me, and maybe he is this to a degree, but it was kind of like a reality show. It was kind of a rolling reality show, like almost like a sort of Kardashian type of situation. He's got his son Deion Sanders Jr., who's just obsessively documenting all of it for his media company and all of their channels and streams, and then he's got his other son Shedeur playing for the team. And I don't know anything about, if he got preferential treatment or not, who knows. But just the whole thing of Deion Sanders just kind of bugged me. And then I have to say, this press conference, I found it to be really, really interesting. Like, he was so, I thought, vulnerable and honest about the particular impact of this on his body. One thing was, and he mentioned this, just kind of briefly, that when that whole Shedeur Sanders thing was going down, when his son was going undrafted, Deion Sanders knew that he had this bladder cancer that was very serious, and he was going to have to go in for this major surgery and have his bladder removed. And he didn't tell any of his sons. He didn't tell them about it. So basically, a certain section of America, I guess me included, is kind of laughing at this, what's seen as this sort of comeuppance for a guy who's really flashy, Deion Sanders and his family. And he's dealing privately with this health crisis, which would have really kind of sucked, whatever. Again, whether I agree with his media management style, that's just a terrible, here's what he said about that.
It was some scenes that you saw, all the bull junk that transpired.
By the way, he said bull junk.
Yes.
Which I don't like it. I don't like it when Billy Bob Thornton says whoop up. But I do think bull junk is pretty funny.
All the bull junk that transpired on draft day. It wasn't just that. It was just I knew as well I had a surgery coming up. My sons to this day don't know what transpired. I just told them something with my foot, again, because I wanted them to focus on making the team and not focused on dad.
So he told them he was having a foot surgery, like so that they wouldn't be stressed. I feel like what is also emerging just from this press conference, because Deion Sanders goes really out of his way to really thank he's very appreciative of his doctor and the advice that she gave him. So his doctor's up there. He's very appreciative of this other Colorado staffer who also really helped with him, his recovery. He's very appreciative of his son, Deion Sanders Jr., who he said had not left his side for 1 minute since this process began. And the feeling I got from it was, and then he's like not telling his other sons, Shedeur, and did he have another son in the draft too? He said sons, plural. But he's not telling his son Shedeur about the cancer because he wants him to be able to focus on the draft. I'm kind of getting the feeling they're a real family, if that makes sense. Like, they're obviously very famous and very wealthy at this point, but also it sounds like they're actually a real family, And I don't know why I find that very humanizing, but I just do. Like, this idea that he actually didn't want to tell his son because he didn't want to mess up his son's state of mind as his son is going off to do this big thing. I think one of the things about somebody like Deion Sanders that tends to chafe for me is the sense that he has this massive ego, this huge ego, and saying, call me Coach Prime and stuff. But also the fact that he's like worried about messing up his son's state of mind. So he tells him he's having a foot surgery. That feels less ego driven to me. That feels like somebody who really loves his son and really wants good things to happen for his son, which I kind of appreciate. This was the part that I thought was really kind of pretty remarkable. He's talking about the fact that he cannot control his bladder anymore. That he can't control basically when he pees. And And he's basically saying, he says, if you see a porta potty on the sidelines during Colorado games, that's what that's about, because it's going to happen. And like, there was something about the way that he's just talking about that I felt was so humanizing for him. It was such a great message for other people that are going through this or something else that causes them to have this particular physical situation going on. Like, this wasn't your standard, I've been going through a health crisis, I'm going to step away. I mean, he's coaching, by the way. So this was the announcement that he's going to keep coaching. But, there's a standard way that sometimes this kind of news is disseminated, and this didn't feel like that exactly. This is Deion Sanders talking about what's going on with his body these days.
But please get yourself checked out, especially.
Oh, by the way, that was another thing, obviously, that he was big on. He has some sort of vascular thing pre-existing that they have to check him for every year, the doctors, very carefully. And in the process of checking for this other thing, which he was fine with, this vascular thing, they noticed this other thing, this tumor on his bladder, which they probably wouldn't have caught otherwise. So he kind of giving this message to everybody to get checked out.
But please get yourself checked out, especially African-American men. We don't like going to the doctors. We don't like nothing to do with a doctor. You know that. So I'm not just talking to the brothers. I'm talking to my Caucasian brothers, my Hispanic brothers, my Asian brothers, my everybody, and my sisters. And that's all, y'all. Get checked out, because it could have been a whole another gathering if I had. I'm thankful. It's been a tremendous journey. It's been tough. I think I dropped 25 pounds. I was like a Atlanta Falcon prime at one point.
I think he means he was at his playing weight when he was an Atlanta Falcon. Yeah. He did call himself prime in the third person. I don't know how I feel about that, but we'll let the guy have this today.
I think so.
And just dealing with the catheter, dealing with all the stuff that I had to deal with. And right now I'm still dealing with going to the bathroom. Like, it's a whole life change. Like, I can't, and I'm gonna be transparent, I can't pee like I used to pee. It's totally different. And I depend on depend, if you know what I mean. I truly depend on depend. Like, I cannot control my bladder. So I get up to go to the bathroom already 4 or 5 times a night, but then I'm sitting up there, waking up, like my grandson. We in the same thing. We got the same problem right now. We going through the same trials and tribulations. We trying to see who has the heaviest bag at the end of the night. Like, it's ridiculous. But I'm making a joke out of it, but it's real. Like, it is real, it is real, it is real. So if you see porta potty on the sideline, it's real, okay? I'm just telling you right now, you're gonna see it. You're gonna see the practice, you're gonna see one, because it is unbelievable. Like, dozing off and waking up, first thing I'm grabbing my crotch to see if I peed on myself. And it's just totally different. And I know there's a lot of people out there going through what I'm going through and dealing with what I'm dealing with. And let's stop being ashamed of it. And let's deal with it. And let's deal with it head on.
I thought that was such a cool way for this guy, whose whole image, again, his image is prime time. I'm the most athletic. My body works the best of everybody's. I'm flashy. I got sunglasses on. I got, I just, like, his entire image is about basically saying, I got this. I'm the coolest guy in the room. And now he's saying, when I doze off and I wake up, the first thing I do is grab my crotch to see if I peed myself. Mm-hmm. It just feels totally like a complete personality shift from that other image of himself. And again, I don't want to make too much out of this, like act like the guy has had, like a transformation, but this was not how I expected him to be talking about it. And I thought it was really cool, particularly for anybody else out there who's, going through something like this. I just thought this was an incredibly vulnerable way for him to handle it.
I agree. This is the first time hearing that tape, and I think it's really amazing. When you were telling me the story, when you were kind of setting up that tape, and you said he had his bladder removed, I immediately started Googling over here, how do you live without a bladder? What does that look like? You know what I mean? What is the mechanism that you would use to, process your waste or get rid of it or whatever? And, I was just sort of looking at some various things, and there are various, like he says, bags and various things that you have to keep clean. And I just sort of was like thinking about living like that. And I'm sure there are people within the sound of our voice right now who do live like that and have similar things. Life can get tougher when you get older, and sometimes not even when you get older. That's one thing that I think about a lot too. You know, I had a scare with my own health, not anything even near this, but a scare with just like my mobility last summer that while I was in the midst of it, I was thinking at how lucky I was that I hadn't had some sort of chronic pain or something like that my whole life. I knew kids, you know what I mean? Like, it's not just age. It's just your lot in life sometimes. And I'm a very shy person. I'm a person who's filled with shame at all times. I think we hit on that earlier in the show. And so while you're telling me this, I'm just sort of thinking sympathetically about him and about, well, what does that look like? What does life look like? And I actually just sort of had a moment of thinking, like, what if I go into the doctor tomorrow and I learn that I might be in, you know, like, how do I handle that? How do I sort of keep that private? And like, I immediately was sort of like thinking about how awful that would be and how I would be. And I don't think I had this word for it. And again, these are just thoughts I was having while you were talking, but just like I immediately was sort of picturing myself in like a public bathroom or something, like fumbling around, right? And feeling shame or something. And the fact that he just addressed literally what I subconsciously went to immediately and did so with humor and grace. Yeah. And then even said, listen, this is a serious conversation. I'm not trying to laugh it all away. Yeah. But also to say, well, how am I going to deal with this as a man who's deeply proud? I mean, who makes people call me Prime, whether they want to or not, who's deeply, deeply proud. How does he handle something like this? He uses it as a message to help other people, and he uses it to say, like, this is my reality now. And he's not starting a reality TV show or trying to capitalize on it, but he's also just saying the way I handle this is by being honest about it and not being shame. And then he brings up shame. He says we shouldn't stigmatize. I don't know if he said stigmatize or shame, but he says exactly what I was thinking. He almost made me feel bad for immediately thinking what I was thinking. You know, I'm really moved by that, for real.
Yeah, it was totally shocking to me that this was how he talked about it, and that, you know, I mean, listen, we all have to sort of process things the way that we're able to, and I'm not saying that everybody has to be such an open book, because maybe that's just not something people are comfortable with. But what I would say is, like, there's two ways this could have gone down for Deion Sanders. One way would be how he's handling it, and then the other would be he hopes nobody finds out that he needs to have ready access to a bathroom. And so there's some whole crazy thing going on where there's, like, you know, there's one staffer who knows, and there's some sort of a porta potty, but it's like hidden in the tunnel, and it's like, and he's got to constantly be making sure he's wearing dark pants so that if there is any kind of you know, an issue, it's less like he could go into this like image management mode where everything is about trying to make sure nobody could ever find out that he's in fact a human being with frailties and that he does not control every aspect of his body, you know, or he could just do this. And this is so obviously the better approach. Yeah. Like, that's the life lesson, I think, for a lot of us. And again, I'm not telling anyone that they have to be as confessional as Deion Sanders was, or as we sort of tend to be on the show sometimes. But I guess what I can say from personal experience is keeping things secret, it almost always, in my experience, makes things harder and is anxiety producing. And usually when I'm open and honest about things with the people I love, or maybe even the listeners of this show, it's the amount, the weight that takes off of you. Like, I'm imagining Deion Sanders going through the whole, you know, next football season, trying to keep all of this secretive and a secret, and like, what a just absolute millstone around his neck that would be, instead of everyone just being like rooting for him and like him just being like, yeah, man, this is the deal for me. This is what my body's doing, and this is how I'm working through it. And yeah, it was a level of humility and honesty that I did not see coming from Coach Prime.
It's not as good as this, but as soon as you promoted this story at the beginning of the show, I started thinking about something else I heard on the radio yesterday, and I'm looking to see if I can find it now. Unfortunately, I can't seem to find the isolated audio on the fly, but this regards another person, another very famous, very talented athlete that I hold in low regard, and it doesn't even compare to Coach Prime. Like, I have a little bit of irritation with him just based on his, again,
I love that we have now started calling him Coach Prime.
Yeah, that's a really good point. I'm like Googling and talking at the same time, so I sort of am only half listening to what I'm saying, which hopefully the listeners are as well. But you're right. Because instead of, I guess, thinking of Deion Sanders, I just went with Coach Prime there.
I did it too, by the way.
I'm looking for the isolated. Oh, it looks like TikTok may save the day here. But a little bit of background. I'm going to talk here about Aaron Rodgers, a man who to this day have almost zero.
You're on the
respect
cutting
for
edge
this
of
guy.
disliking Aaron Rodgers.
Yes.
I want to.
All the signs were there. If you weren't seeing it, it was because you were a fan. But I was thinking about him earlier too, because I almost brought him up during the Jeopardy talk. As I remember how close we came to having this man be the host of Jeopardy. I don't think that was ever going to be a reality he was never going to leave football to be the full-time Jeopardy host, I guess. But my gosh, we held him up as like an intellectual in some ways, or some people did. Anyway, did you see any of this yesterday? Do you know what I'm getting at here?
I saw a clip of him talking about he's a Pittsburgh Steeler now.
He is a Pittsburgh Steeler now.
And he was celebrating the fact that they have to live in the dorms together and he has to share a bathroom.
No, I didn't see any of that.
That's what I saw.
But Terry Bradshaw, who's obviously, you would know better than me, obviously
he's now
a
the leading bald, blonde American with Hulk Hogan dead.
Oh, yeah, that's a really good point.
Terry Bradshaw steps into the void as America's #1 bald guy who has blonde hair around the sides.
And Terry Bradshaw is one of the most famous Steelers of all time, right?
Sure.
By the way, how do you feel?
Super Bowls.
How do you feel about Terry Bradshaw? What are your feelings about him? I don't really have feelings about him. He's just kind of always been there, and I think I always knew him as a talking head before I kind of realized that he's a legendary football player.
Well, speaking of the baldness, I think he was known as the Man of Steel. And I remember pictures of him as a kid and thinking, they let bald guys play football?
So he was bald back then, huh? I didn't know that.
And for some reason, that's like, because it was pretty uncommon, you know? I was like, because in my mind at that time, I associated that with being kind of like older and stuff. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like it was like, oh, okay, that guy can play football. Cool. And then, I sort of enjoy him. I enjoy Terry Bradshaw because Terry Bradshaw, as I was saying earlier in the show, like a perfect Sunday for me in the fall is like, there's football on TV and something kind of tasty is being cooked up for later and stuff. He's part of that milieu.
Sure, yeah.
So I feel generally positive towards him. I don't think I want to probably ask too much about his politics.
Sure, yeah, exactly. But he's not out there. He doesn't have like.
I haven't seen him at the inauguration or anything.
Yeah, right.
But I'm guessing he probably is. I would imagine he tends to skew more conservative. But like I find him to be generally a positive element of American life.
He's like a big goofball, makes fun of himself a lot, and I just don't know that much about him. But he's not like in the sports world. He's not like somebody who's even having controversial sports takes usually, right? Like he's honest, but he's not like Stephen A. Smith looking for hot takes. But when obviously as the kind of the face of the Steeler franchise, emeritus or whatever. I guess he was weighing in a few months ago about the Steelers going after Aaron Rodgers, and I don't even think I have to explain to people why Aaron Rodgers is so distasteful to a lot of people, myself included, these days, and just like the things that he has said in the realm of politics and culture and who he's aligned himself with, and some of the just really kind of at times offensive or just at least ridiculous things that he has said, but also that he's sort of like slipped into this sort of Rogan-y woo-woo world of like darkness retreats and I don't know what if he's out there chewing on what's the desert drug I'm thinking of? Ayahuasca or whatever.
Oh sure.
But that's kind of all part of his thing too. And so all of that is to say Terry Bradshaw a couple of months ago, and I'm looking at this quote here, says that guy needs to stay in California. So he's criticizing the Steelers for taking on Aaron Rodgers, and he says that guy needs to stay out in California, go somewhere and chew on bark and whisper to the gods out there, is what Bradshaw said. Now, first of all, I love that. I think that's a great insult, and I love that he's sticking his neck out.
It is a great insult because you don't like Aaron Rodgers.
Exactly.
But imagine it's applied to a non-Aaron Rodgers.
But I can't imagine rooting for anybody whose whole thing is darkness retreats. I mean, listen, I think that you and I are relatively fair with our fandoms, even when there are some distasteful people or people that just have some like characteristics or traits that we don't like. Like, I think that we rooted for Russell Wilson, but also pointed out his flaws as a human being a lot, you know? We did the same thing with, I mean, not to get too far into this, but I think you and I mentioned this when we were hanging out last week. Even Robbie Ray, he was a star pitcher for the Mariners that they brought over, but he was a vaccine denier, and he couldn't travel with the team up in Canada during some really important times. Like, I hated that guy. I did not like him being a Mariner. Like, I don't think that you and I are the type of...
And it's dangerously good.
I mean, I'm sure that I soften my criticism, reactively towards people that I root for. But I don't think that you and I really are going around completely defending or ignoring the flaw. I mean, well, look at me and the problematic relationship that I had with the Browns and some of the people that they signed even before they went overboard with that. So all of that is to give you and I a little bit of cover on that. I think I've seen other fans who are totally blind to the either awfulness or quirkiness or whatever of the people on the teams that they root for. Having said all of that, so Bradshaw throws this what I think is kind of a funny line at a guy that I don't like. Says, go out and eat bark and whisper to the gods out there. I like that. Aaron Rodgers, though, had, if not, I can't break down the sincerity in his heart, but he had a really good response to that. And maybe it's just because he's smart enough, maybe he should host Jeopardy, to know what he cannot. I mean, that's a pretty personal insult that this man has thrown at you. And you're another man who has pride, like in that position, and to have that record that you have and to have the reputation that you have, at least in the football world. Like, Aaron Rodgers is not going to just sit there and take slings and arrows usually. And I'm going to try, I think this is the tape if TikTok doesn't let me down here, but and again, this in his heart, he might be seething. And I don't know if this is true, but he said what he needed to say to somebody who looms so large in, Steelers history.
In California, chew on bark and whisper to the gods.
So this is somebody, I don't know who this is, giving him the quote, and now he's going to respond, I think.
Well, I whisper to the gods every single day.
Damn right.
I've known Terry for a long time, being a part of Fox. Terry's a legend. He's an absolute legend. He won 4 Super Bowls. He's had a legendary career in the media. But Terry, like a lot of people, doesn't know me. And so he's got an idea of what he thinks about me based on what I've done, the documentary, what I've said, Darkness Retreat, whatever the hell you want to talk.
I mean, basically everything that I've done. He doesn't know me except I put my life out there on Broad Street. Listening to the second time, I don't like this as much as I did the first time. I'll be honest with you.
I do think it's funny that Aaron Rodgers is doing, it sounds like an Obama impression. Can you go back?
He is a little bit.
TikTok will let you.
His sort of the rhythm.
The problem is he doesn't know me.
Yeah, that's kind of interesting. Actually, I'm wondering if I don't. I think I hate him so much that I always expect the absolute worst from him. So when I heard this yesterday, I was like, oh, that's kind of a mature answer. Yes. Listening back again now, and he's like, he doesn't know me. Like, but then he lists all the ways we know him because he puts his life on Front Street. And I'm actually
based on my behaviors.
Based on everything I've said and done that people have witnessed with their eyes and ears. Anyway, so now maybe I'm falling down on my argument here, but let's let it play out. It's about another minute here, I think.
I've known Terry for a long time, being a part of Fox. Terry's a legend. He's an absolute legend. He won 4 Super Bowls. He's had a legendary career in the media. But Terry, like a lot of people, doesn't know me. And so he's got an idea of what he thinks about me based on...
You can talk to Sasha. Talk to Malia.
What I've done, the documentary, what I've said, Darkness Retreat, whatever the hell you want to talk about. I'd love to get to know Terry on a deeper level. And I feel like if he gave me a chance to get to know him, that we'd have a good friendship. Because for me, I have nothing but the utmost amount of respect and deference for what the greats have done. Because they laid the foundation for us to be able to play in this great game, to be paid like kings, and to carry on the tradition of excellence that guys like the Bradshaws of the world in the 70s and Bart Starr in the 60s and Lombardi and Joe Montana and Steve Young and Troy Aikman and Brett Favre and all the greats that have been over, Tom Brady, we're standing on the backs of those guys, and it's because of how they played and how they carried themselves that we're able to have this opportunity to to still play this great game, to get paid really well, to set ourselves up for our future. So I'd love to get to know Terry on a deeper level if he's open to it, and maybe we can go chew some bark or whatever the hell he's talking about.
Like, not bad, right?
Good. That is pretty good.
I'm glad we let it roll because the back half of that is, I mean, again, when somebody insults me, I get really defensive, and him just kind of saying, no, he's one of the greats, and I appreciate what he and his brethren did to get us to where we are today, bringing in the big bucks.
Yeah, could have left Brett Favre off the list.
Yeah, I was going to say.
All the greats, Jeff Epstein, the New York financier.
I'm talking about the financier.
The financier, Jeff Epstein.
Oh, my gosh, I know.
Yeah, well, that's the thing about Aaron Rodgers that drives me a little bit crazy is I've certainly come way over to your side of things in terms of, like, really being very bothered by him and how he is in the world and the people that he aligns himself with and his anti-vax stuff, all of it. It feels like the Danger Witch. It feels dangerous to me because he's one of those people. He's one of those people that doesn't know anything about anything, but is supremely confident in his knowledge of like he knows more about the vaccine than Anthony Fauci does. I find that to be really dangerous. But then there's also these moments where like he is actually pretty affable and kind of likable. Like I saw a clip of him yesterday. It might have been from the same interview. I'm not sure, but he was talking about the fact that like the way that the Steelers training camp works is like he has a roommate. He's got something like they're in a hotel room, but it's got like 2 queen beds and a shared bathroom or whatever, or he's in a dormitory actually, I think. And that he loves that it reminds him of, I think that was maybe for some period of time how Green Bay did it too. And it just was kind of one of those things that was just kind of nice to hear him talking about how even though the accommodations were, pretty humble, that was kind of something that he was, he enjoyed, he appreciated, got him in the mode. Then later I saw him like throw a bomb to DK Metcalf, who made a diving catch, and something inside of me died.
Oh, that's right.
Like,
that's going to be
nothing like seeing
DK
Metcalf with a different uniform on making a catch. It's like,
even though I hate the thought of that, you just said the first thing so far this preseason that has gotten me a little bit interested in the football narrative. It's really hard for me to get interested in football during the summertime. And unfortunately, football is what drives so much of the media that I listen to. If I'm listening to sports media, even when you're as far away from the football calendar as you can possibly be at whatever time that is, football conversations still take up more time on sports radio than baseball, at least here in this market, and that kind of bums me out because there's so much to talk about with baseball, and I'd rather hear that. I don't like turning on my radio and when the sun is beating down and hearing them talk about like full pads, which I think happened yesterday for the first time. I'm just like, I don't care. Maybe it reminds me too much of when I thought I wanted to be in high school football, and I have these memories of like suddenly like it's the middle of summer and I have to report for practice and I'm jogging around the outside of a football field and my lungs taste like 9-volt batteries.
I know that feeling.
And I'm just like, why am I? And I'm just like, why am I here? Why am I running on dead grass in August or July or whatever? Like, I don't know. I don't want to be thinking about that stuff right now.
That's really funny. Yeah. I had that with football, and then I didn't play football anymore because the school I went to didn't have it. And so then it was soccer, but same kind of thing. There'd be like a few weeks of practice before school started, and it would just be brutally hot. And it was all conditioning.
Yeah.
So it's just running in the sun. It was so unbelievably miserable.
It really was. And you're just like, and it's cutting into your summer too.
I was watching some podcast that was like, it was actually Greg Olson.
Oh, yeah. The Olsen
one time,
wings.
briefly, one time Seattle Seahawk, and now, color commentator, who was unseated by Tom Brady, apparently. Yeah. And he was being interviewed. I think it's called the Bussin' podcast. It's this guy, Taylor Lewins, and it's a couple of ex-pro football players, and they have they were, by the way, sitting next to me at the UFC, which was kind of slightly surreal. But they were talking to Ben Olsen because I guess Ben Olsen also coaches football now, and they were asking like what kind of drills you can and can't do anymore. Mm-hmm. And they were like, "Can you do bull in the ring?" And he was like, "Yeah, no, bull in the ring is out." And that was the drill.
Pheasant under glass.
Care to expand on that for the listeners,
go ahead.
Andrew?
That's just a little insertion for you.
Google Bob Odenkirk pheasant under glass.
See what happens.
He was like, "Oh no, we can't do bull in the ring anymore." And that was the drill that I broke my arm doing.
Oh, what is it?
Football. It's, if I remember right, it's like one guy has the ball, and then one guy is the assigned blocker for him, and then two guys are in trying to tackle the guy with the ball. So you're like, so like, and I think it, just has a sort of a kind of a Lord of the Flies ish way of playing out. Like
basically 2-on-2, essentially.
It's 2-on-2. I was, if I remember right, in this particular drill, I was the blocker, which is also comical.
Yeah, that doesn't seem
about
right.
5'2" at the time.
Yeah.
But I was one of those kids that just loved contact. I really did. I mean, that's why the coaches kind of liked me, because I was undersized, but I was probably good that I ended up going to a school that didn't have football, because I friggin' loved playing football. And I was like into contact. Like I was not shy about it. And so, of course, I was probably trying to prove myself by just like going after these bigger guys that were coming in to tackle the ball carrier in this drill. And somehow, I don't know, we went down in a heap, and my arm hit the ground funny, and then a real big guy fell right on my arm, and wasn't good. Not good.
I do not like that. What's it called? Bull in the Ring?
Bull in the Ring was the name of the drill.
For some reason, I was picturing even more Lord of the Fliesy. I'm not even
that
joking,
didn't sound that bad on paper.
The idea of the ring, I'm picturing like all the team like gets together in a ring, and two people are in there, and one has the ball, and the other one has
a knife,
has a broken pool cue for some reason.
Yeah, that one's also illegal now. You can't do anything anymore.
Oh no, I got Oberon. No, not Oberon. Who's the mountain from Game of Thrones?
Yeah,
Oberon was the Hanson.
Oberon,
man, right?
Oberon. That was when we first learned about a little guy named Pedro Pascal.
That's right. No, you want
who
to
would eventually come to be in every single film in American life.
Exactly.
Here I go once again with the email. Every week, I hope that it's from a female. Oh, man, it's not from a female.
Can I just kick things off with a correction?
Please.
Email. There's actually a couple of them. A couple of corrections, a couple of things that I messed up. One is off of Blueski, where I noticed that our friend, Lynn Pham, was pointing out, I don't know if I can actually get back to this. I don't know how to find it now. But basically, when I talk about that dog from the cartoon who laughs into his mouth, kind of goes,
yeah, right. That's different, yeah.
I always apparently get this wrong, because I said it was, whatever I said it was, let me see if I can find this post by our friend Lynn. It involved correcting the record on, very active on the Blueski is Lynn. Lynn said, every time Luke Burbank says that Muttley was from Clutch Cargo, I can hear the tens of tens screaming out in pain. Clutch Cargo's dog is Paddlefoot. Muttley, the laughing, snickering dog, is the sidekick to Dick Dastardly.
Here's the thing. I am not questioning Lynn's knowledge on this topic. Why
don't
would
get in the ring with his knowledge, because he's holding a broken pool cue called information. He will run you through with it.
He's holding half of a Nintendo Switch. And but the thing is, I am questioning gently and respectfully.
With respect.
The setup that other tens are aware of this knowledge and that it frustrates them. Read that sentence again about all of the cartoon characters, because
I swear each time Luke Burbank says that Muttley was from Clutch Cargo, I can hear the tens of tens screaming out in pain. Clutch Cargo's dog is Paddlefoot. Muttley, the laughing / snickering dog, is the sidekick to Dick Dastardly.
Of course, Lynn knows
that
what
would
he's
be my
doing
porno
there.
name if I had to. Dick Dastardly. It's pretty good.
Yeah. But no, that's funny. He's screaming out in pain. Just like, it's a light touch. I wonder how many people, could Lynn be the only person in the audience who
Well, let's find out.
That?
Email me, luke@tbtl.net, if you also knew that I was misnaming the dog in that situation.
What else do we know about any of these cartoons? I would have never known there was something called Dick Dastardly at all, although I do like that name. Did you? Does that ring a bell to you? Okay.
No, and in fact, I feel like I knew a little bit about this dog, Muttley, a little bit from seeing it on TV as a kid, but mostly from Duck Hunt.
So what's clutch cargo? Right, there's the duck hunt dog, and that's different. He goes hee.
He's
and
different,
I was
but kind of.
with-
It feels like he's spiritually connected to that other dog. I don't know if he literally is, but I feel like they're cousins or something.
But now I'm trying to figure out what clutch cargo is because you've been
I think
dropping
Clutch Cargo
that
is the
one.
name. Was Clutch? Oh God, Lynn,
It is something here. It is
Clutch
something
Cargo. Was Clutch Cargo the name of the entire cartoon, or was it the name of the character in a larger cartoon?
It says clutch cargo, an American is, by the way.
Oh,
really?
Is
really?
Well, old cartoons never die.
You sure about that? That's why. Clutch Cargo is an American animated television series created by Clark Haas. Oh, look at that. Maybe pronounced Haas, like Genevieve. And it started syndication in 1959. It doesn't say that it ever ended, so maybe it is still going, but it's here. It's centered on the adventurer of Clutch Cargo, an adventurer who was sent around the world on dangerous assignments. Accompanying him on the assignments were his young ward, Spinner, and his pet dachshund. Dachshund, am I saying that right? Dachshund, yeah. Paddlefoot. Live action footage of a 1929 C-27 Airbus was used. And
Cool.
I guess the series creator was previously a jet pilot, which is why. So I don't think I've ever seen, I mean, this sort of looks like my style, but I've never seen this before.
Dick Dastardly, meanwhile, Andrew, is a fictional character and the main antagonist who's appeared in various animated series by Hanna-Barbera. Dastardly's most famous appearance are in the series Wacky Races and its spin-off Dastardly and Muttley in Their Flying Machines.
Huh.
He is partially based on the English actor Terry Thomas. Oh, Terry Thomas, this guy. I recognize this guy. He has a significant gap in his teeth, and I forget who he played, but he was in something that I remember from being a kid. But anyway, okay, so that's the record is corrected on that, and then something else I need to correct, and this one I blame on Mark Zuckerberg. Remember yesterday I was talking about putting those glasses on and then looking around and then asking it questions about the things in my field of vision. And I said that across the river from me is this what used to be the Trojan nuclear plant. And I said when I asked the glasses about like the history of that place, it told me that it was actually never operational. It basically said it was built, but then because of particular problems and whatever complications, that then it was imploded. And I was surprised by the news that it never actually was in operation. And the reason I was surprised by that news is because it was a hallucination, I think, from the glasses.
Oh, the
from
fact
the
that
AI.
it didn't exist?
The fact
Or
that it didn't ever
open,
operate.
rather. Sorry, it existed.
Because Anya, listener Anya, who used to live right down the road from where I'm at, said, "Hey, Luke, it's Anya, who grew up in your neighborhood. I think your AI glasses got something wrong about the Trojan nuclear plant. It did operate for 17 years. My childhood nanny's husband worked there." So I just wanted to correct the record on that too. Anya, I'm sorry that my glasses lied to me and then I lied to the TBTL listeners.
It is a real bummer that you cannot trust. What did you say before about Aaron Rodgers? He just says wrong things confidently.
Yes.
And like that is basically what
As
AI
do the
is
glasses.
doing, and we're not questioning it enough. I'm not trying to put you on Front
Yeah.
Street. I've fallen for this myself, of course. It's really frustrating to have all this technology that is so cool and whiz bang, but wrong. Patently and demonstrably wrong about shit.
Yes. And you know what? This is the first example I can think of, and it's only because I said this into a microphone and Anya heard it. This is the first example I can think of where I got information from basically AI. I didn't fact check it, and then I went out and spread it into the world. And by the way, thank you, Anya, for catching this, because I promise you, I would have told any person who came over to my house that same wrong information going forward. We would have been standing on the deck. I would have been saying, over there is what used to be the Trojan nuclear plant. But guess what? It was never even operational. I think I made a joke yesterday, something like, that's government efficiency at work, which is like, again,
right into the...
It plays right into this whole kind of idea of like, the government being incapable of doing things, et cetera. It's like, and again, that was because that information came from the computer glasses, and I just took it as gospel truth, and I shouldn't have done that, and I apologize.
Well, you know what, Luke? I'm actually changing my mind. I do believe in AI. I believe in Anya intelligence. How about that?
Anya official intelligence?
That's right.
Show title?
Maybe. I don't have anything better.
I got to go, Andrew. There's something floating in the river, and I don't know what it is, and it might be a Loch Ness Monster. We might have big news on tomorrow's show. It's definitely not a boat.
Okay.
It also might just be a dead-headed log, but my binoculars are in the house. I got to run in there and I got to get eyes on this. This is my life out here, Andrew, mowing dandelions and getting eyes on things that are in the river.
Hope we don't have a river's edge situation.
Oh, yeah, that would be dark. All right.
Be safe.
Thank you, everyone, for listening. We're coming back here tomorrow. Same bat time, same bat channel with more TBTL for you. So please do join us for that. In the meantime, have a great Tuesday. Take care of yourselves. And please remember, no mountain too tall.
And good luck to all.
Power out.